Doctor Who, Vincent and the Doctor, the 10th episode of Series 5, is written by Richard Curtis and starring Matt Smith and Karen Gillan. So yeah, Richard Curtis worked as an executive producer of Doctor Who and the Curse of the Fatal Death, created by Stephen Moffat. He got asked to write an episode and enjoyed historical episodes and happy to write one, so he decided to do Vincent van Gogh's story, where Vincent never knew he was famous and Curtis wanted to make it depressing and price paid. And he asked Stephen Moffat to criticise to what he's written, and Stephen said it needed to start quicker, and Piers Wenger and the director of this episode, Johnny Campbell, criticised it. So after the read-through, Richard Curtis felt more comfortable writing the episode, and he wanted to write Doctor Who episode because it was something that his kids would like. Originally, the episode was going to be called Eyes That See the Darkness, but Richard Curtis said that idea was vetoed. So obviously Vincent and the Doctor was decided. So when Richard Curtis put up prints of Van Gogh paintings around the house, as well as a board with index cards outlining the plot, and his kids helped him coming up with an idea, which is nice. Karen Gillan thought it was different style and approach and was more character driven, although it was a subject he knew quite a lot about. Curtis read a 200-page biography of Van Gogh, which was more research than he normally would have done if working on other projects. He took Van Gogh very seriously as such. He wanted to be truthful rather than cruel, and refused to write any jokes about Van Gogh's ears after he famously cut one of them off. However, he did incorporate, as he naturally wanted to try and make things funny, and he also said that casting an actor to play Van Gogh was done carefully, as he wanted him to feel to the audience as Van Gogh, not like a bloke they've seen acting lots of other parts in an orange wig. Curran, Smith and Gillan got to know each other very well, which Gillan hoped would be evident in their chemistry in the episode. So the episode was shot in Trogir in Croatia, the same location as the Vampires of Venice, which sees Trogir depicting 16th century Venice. So the filming took place around November 2009. The scenes at the church were shot at Llandaff Cathedral in Wales, and National Museum Cardiff doubled for the interior of the Musée d'Orsay. Some of the sets were intended to reference paintings such as Van Gogh's bedroom, one such set with a cafe where the Doctor and Amy first meet Van Gogh, which was modelled after the painting cafe Terrace at Night. This proved challenging for the art department, which looked extensively for a suitable building in Croatia to use. Once the artists found the one they wanted, they had to redesign it to look like the painting. This involved putting an awning up, changing the windows and adding a platform with tables and chairs. So this episode opens with wheat fields blowing and something is there with Vincent staring at it. At the present day, Dr. Black takes everyone, including the Doctor and Amy, on a tour to see paintings. When I first watched this episode, I thought the school kids were talking about the Doctor, but no, it was the Doctor in the painting who helped Vincent when he went mad. So the Doctor and Amy went in the TARDIS and arrived in Auvers-sur-Oise at Paris in 1890, and arrived outside the cafe, and there's Vincent trying to get that guy to take his painting for a drink, but he didn't accept it because he thought that painting isn't any good. So after the arguing, Amy tells them to shut up and ask for a wine and share the money with Vincent. So they sat down, getting to know each other, sort of. Apparently, poor little girl died of ripped to shreds in the street, which is dark, and they blamed Vincent for that. I was like, whoa! So they threw stones at the Doctor, Amy and Vincent, so then the Doctor and Amy stayed at Vincent's house for a bit. The Doctor plans to stay until the Vincent paints the church, so then Vincent seems to lose his mind by fighting thin air. After that he drew a creature that only he can see, so the Doctor takes it to the TARDIS, and I love the bit we see photos of the first and second Doctor, William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. I always love the classic series Easter eggs. So the Doctor uses species matcher to identify invisible creature, Proteus. They're spacefaring omnivores, predators, and this one is only seen by Vincent. No one else can see it. It's pretty intense in the scene where the Doctor runs away from it. As soon as it's gone, he bumps into Amy, so they wake Vincent up, and he didn't seem to like sunflowers as he found them complex.
Find them complex. Always somewhere between living and dying. Half human as they turn to the sun. a little disgusting.
And the doctor told what that Crephaeus is, so later on, Vincent is crying in bed. This is an emotional scene.
Come on, let's go outside.
Out! Get out! What are you doing here? What are you doing?
I really do feel sorry for Vincent. Tony Curran's acting in that is so incredible. Vincent van Gogh was a painter who sadly wasn't famous and considered to be a failure until he passed away in 1890 as he shot himself. He suffered intense mental illness like anxiety and depression. Poor guy. Bill Nighy played Dr. Henry Black, who's an art expert and a fan of Vincent's work. And I think Bill Nighy is a fantastic actor. He's so good in this, and I like the moments where the Doctor and Dr. Black liking each other's bow ties.
Nice bow tie. Bow ties are cool. Yours is very... Oh, thank you. I mean, keep telling them stuff. We need to go.
Bill Nighy was originally considered for the role as the Ninth Doctor, but I think he turned it down. Plus, Johnny Campbell found it very fortunate to have Bill Nighy in the role, who he believed was someone people paid attention to, and the audience needed to pay attention to his character as he said facts, which would become important later in the story. So Vincent got ready, so he, the Doctor, and Amy went up to that church, and there's a funeral for that girl who savagely got murdered by Crephaeus. So then Vincent started painting that church. As he finishes, he spotted Crephaeus in the church window, so the Doctor went in and he's having trouble finding that creature, but then it attacks the Doctor, so Amy arrived and hid in the cupboard. But because they're whispering and Crephaeus has impressive hearing, the Crephaeus broke into a cupboard, so Vincent has a fight with it and stabbed it with the legs of the easel, and it's emotional that Crephaeus died. So then the Doctor, Amy and Vincent lay on the grass looking at the stars, which is a nice moment. Another nice scene is when the Doctor, Amy and Vincent went to that museum in 2010 and having a look at his paintings. The Doctor sees Dr. Black again, and Vincent overheard his opinion about Vincent and his work, and he really thanked him. So they left, and Dr. Black was thinking that he saw Vincent for a moment, but then went back to what he was doing. I would love to see his response when he finds out that it's Vincent, and see how the conversation will go. So then they took Vincent back to his time, and then arrived back at the museum again, and sadly it didn't make much change for Vincent's life. The song was played during the ending scene as Chances by Athlete, which is very moving. It really fits in the scene perfectly. Man, this episode is well written and very emotional. What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks as always for watching, people, and au revoir.